Jewish people need to come to know Messiah. I am a follower of Yeshua, the Messiah. Jewish people need Messiah. The Palestinians need Messiah. Honestly, this is the only answer. There is no peace apart from the Prince of Peace. There is no political solution to this spiritual issue. And so we're going to be talking more about that. If you have any questions about why we should pray for Israel, stand with Israel, we just please raise those questions. I'm in the world zone right now. I don't know, John, if you meant war zone. Hector, Lydia, thank you all. Liz, thank you all for praying. Angela. Yes, this is a biblical proportions. I agree with you. This is a biblical proportions because at the very least, this is a sneak preview to what's going to happen in the end of days with the war of Gog and Magog, Armageddon. I'm not saying this is that. Shelby Gale, what is the history of Gaza mentioned in the Bible? Yes, Gaza is mentioned in the Bible. It is known as Aza in the Bible. It's the coastal portion of the southern section of Israel, and it was a section conquered by the what's known as the Philistines. The Philistines were of European ancestry. They were not of Middle Eastern ancestry. Archaeological evidence and DNA testing has shown that they occupied the land. As you remember the story of Samson, he fought the Philistines because they persecuted the Jewish people. What's important to understand is that, and we can go into this more another time, but the Palestinians in the land today claim that they are descendants of the Philistines. And so therefore they claim that they have been there thousands and thousands of years. But friends, there is no archaeological support. There is no genetic DNA support. It is absolutely 100% false. As we said, it's been proven the Philistines that occupied the shores came over from Europe, probably through Greece, through the Aegean, and dwelt and conquered that portion of the land. And ultimately, majority were ultimately driven out by Israel. You remember the story of David and Goliath. This was a battle with the Philistines. So and again, this is a battle between between Israel and the Philistines in a sense. They're not the real Philistines, but they're kind of the spiritual Philistines, those that hate the Jews, that want to attack them. Yes, the Lord commanded that they be the biblical Philistines. God commanded that there is driven out. Right. There is no ancient artifact that supports the reality of Philistines being ever that the Palestinians had any sort of place in the land. Again, we have to understand that in the 1900s, Palestine was a term that was used to describe the geographic area from Iraq to the Mediterranean Sea, which is actually the biblical boundaries of the land of Israel promised to David, or promised to Abraham, and promised to the Jewish people. The Jewish people have never occupied that entirety of that land. And that's the funny thing. In the 1900s, when the British controlled and the place was called Palestine under their rule, we can get one day into the history of where that name came from, but it goes back to the Romans when they defeated Israel in about 135 AD. They called it Syria Palestina, in order to mock the Jewish people and to kind of remove the Jewish connection to the land, try and remove their connection to it. But what's interesting is that in the 1900s, when those living in the land were issued by the British Palestinian passports, everyone was a Palestinian. Jews were Palestinians. You had Arab Palestinians. You had, Christian Palestinians. So to say that there was a group of Palestinians that term was not used of the Arabs living in the land until the 1960s. So there's been a lot of rewriting of history. It's not to say that Arabs weren't there for many years, since the conquest, certainly, of Muhammad, but there was also, that's yes, I'm a debtor to both Greeks and to the both wise and to the unwise. I love it, Bill. Good to see you. But that being said, we have to understand that Israel wants peace. They want peace with the Palestinians. I was talking to a friend of mine who just his young daughter got 20s, got called up to serve in the military. They don't want war. Israel wants peace. The challenge is, and no one wants to really be honest in the media and say this, is that in Gaza in particular, you have Hamas, which is an organization that they are 100% committed to the destruction of the Jewish people. How do you make peace with people that want your destruction? So Israel is in a very difficult situation. You're asking the question, do I agree with the two-state solution? What I'm saying is that there is no good solution. That's the problem. There is no good solution. I wish I could say that I felt that giving land would actually bring about peace. But Israel has tried to. Israel gave the Sinai to Egypt, and they were able to establish peace. But the reality is, it does not seem at this point there is any political solution to what is happening there, because, again, Israel's in such a difficult situation. What do you do with people who don't want to make peace with you? How can you support the establishment of the nation when there are terrorist attacks coming, when your nation is before the Palestinians even have their own nation? So it's a terrible situation. But it's also a terrible situation because, again, when you look at Gaza, what's the solution? Is Israel going to occupy Gaza? That's a nightmare. It's a nightmare. So the world is at a loss for the solution, right? Doesn't seem to be a solution apart from the Messiah, Yeshua. So one of the things we have to pray for more than anything else, I believe, is for there to be a revival among the Arab people, among the Palestinians, that there needs to be a move of God, a great awakening, both in Israel and a great awakening among the Palestinians, because it is a terrible, terrible situation. And, they say Israel's in a pocket. No, what I'd say is that Israel, yes, there's this idea, and we should get into this another time, that Israel is illegally occupying the land. Okay, this is absolutely Not true. Besides the fact that biblically, God promises this land to the Jewish people. So there's this understanding, Genesis chapter 1, where it says, Bereshit bara Elohim et hashamayim v'et God, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. The rabbis ask the question, why doesn't God begin the Torah with the coming forth out of Egypt and then the giving of the commandments? Why does he start with creation? And one of the answers is because God created the world, and he can give any land to whomever he wishes. And in the future, when those nations would come and say, this land does not belong to the Jewish people, one can say, God created it. He gives it to whom he wishes. Still, when Abraham goes to Hebron, that's in the West Bank. It's a place that the Palestinians say the Jewish people are illegally occupying. Abraham doesn't militarily take the land. He purchases the land, the cave at Machpelah in Hebron. Okay? So again, Jewish people have a spiritual right to the land, but more than that, the United Nations in 1948 offered a two-state solution. They offered 45% of the land to Israel. They offered 55% of the land to Israel. They offered 45% of the land to the Palestinians for a two-state solution. Israel accepted. The Palestinians rejected, or there were no Palestinians. The 6 Arab nations rejected that resolution and attacked Israel and lost, and Israel wound up with more territory. You know, would anyone say give back Texas or give back California? Listen, this is just craziness. So the land that Israel has, they have because the United Nations said Israel can have it. They had a right to it as a historic land because that is our historic homeland, right? It's the place of biblical promise. It's the place of our ancestors. And every war that the Arab nations have instigated against Israel, they wind up losing more and more land. In 1967, Israel did not have control of Jerusalem, did not have control of East Jerusalem, including the Old City, including the Temple Mount, including the Mount of Olives. And Jordan and the Arab nations attacked and wound up losing the war in 6 days. And that's when we regained Jerusalem. That's when it was reunited. I don't believe we're occupiers. We are liberators. No, I disagree with you, Narrow Way Path. The Jewish people today are the descendants of the original Jewish people. We are the ancestors of the Jewish people. You cannot make a distinction between biblical Israel and the Jewish people today. God's promises are to those today who are born of Jewish parents and Jewish ancestry. And you have Jews in Israel that come from every ethnic background. You've got Jews who are born in the land. You've got Jews from Morocco, Jews from Egypt, Jews from Iran, Jews from Iraq. So you have tons of Sephardic or Yemeni Jews, Middle Eastern Jews from Spain. Then you have Jews from India. You have Jews from Africa. You have Jews from Russia, from Ukraine, from France, from England, from Mexico, from Argentina, from Brazil, from the United States, from Canada, from Asia, from China. Jews come in every size, shape, and color because the 10 tribes of Israel were dispersed during the Assyrian captivity, and then during the Babylonian captivity, and all sorts of other attacks, but there has always been a historic Jewish presence in the land of Israel. Awesome, Danny. You're an Argentinian Sephardic Jew. Great. Shalom Achi. Glad you're here with us. So, don't believe the propaganda. What's amazing to me is that there is this outcry that a hospital was destroyed and innocent people lost their lives. And believe me, it is a tragedy. My heart breaks for the innocent Palestinians who have lost their lives. But here's the hypocrisy. This war was not started by Israel. They butchered and massacred Jews and would have done more if they could have. And then they choose to hide and won't let Israel says, listen, innocent Gazans, please go south so we can begin to deal with these Hamas terrorists. Listen, we need to free Gaza. We need to free Gaza. We need to free Palestine of Hamas and of the terrorists. That's who it needs to be freed of, not of the Jewish people. So it breaks my heart. But there's this nonsense we're hearing in this media about proportionality. Now, listen, this idea of proportionality saying, well, your response has to be in proportion to what was done to you. It can't be disproportional. What is a proportional response to the burning of little babies, to the chopping off of their heads, to the rape of women, to the abuse of the elderly? What is the proportional response? And part of the problem with this, don't get me wrong, I don't want to see war. I don't want to see one innocent Palestinian hurt. But we have to understand, over the years, the Hamas and Palestinian Islamic Jihad, all these groups, whatever, they terrorize Israel. They shoot missiles. They kill people. Israel goes in. They do some targeted bombings, and then they stop. Well, listen, that was being proportional in a sense. And look where it got us. It got us nowhere. It led to the point that they had absolutely no fear, no deterrence to go in and wipe out and massacre on a level not seen since the Holocaust in barbaric ways. So the unfortunate reality is that there is only one option. It's not to be proportional. It's to absolutely 100% wipe out Hamas, to inflict the maximum amount of damage against the terrorists, not against the innocent people. And I actually believe that is the kindest thing that could be done for the Palestinians as well. And it's unfortunate that the leaders of Hamas and the other extremist groups would rather see innocent people die in order to get world support. They're being used as pawns. And that is really sad. Because the reality is that if someone constantly punches me in the face and they're beating me up day after day, and they smack me in the face and I smack them back, and the next day they punch me in the face and then I punch them back, and the next day they punch and they kick me and I kick them back, and they're not deterred. There has to be an overwhelming response. This can't be allowed to continue. And unfortunately, those that are around Israel, they're enemies that want to destroy Israel, only understand strength. They do not understand proportionality. They do not understand, if you look weak, they're like sharks in the water. If they see blood and they sense fear, they will devour Israel. And that's the unfortunate reality. And yeah, so there, there are those who say, again, I don't know what exactly this guy Narrow Way is saying. Israel bombed that hospital. No, actually, River Runs NC. Israel did not bomb that hospital. It was Palestinian Islamic Jihad terrorists misfiring their weapons. Here's the reality. Let me show you. Let's be clear. Let's be very clear about the difference between the Palestinians in Hamas, the Hamas terrorists, okay, and Israel. When you look at the videos of the atrocities that were committed by the terrorists, by the Islamic terrorists, they were cheering, they were rejoicing, they were so happy that they could hurt innocent people. That's who they are. That's the people who you, River Runs NC, whoever you are, that's the people who you are supporting, it seems. Israel, unfortunately, there is collateral damage, but you know what? If you look at the Jewish response to the death of innocent Palestinians when they are collateral damage, let me tell you something. It breaks the heart of Jewish people. You've never seen in the media anyone in the Israeli government say, "Oh, this is a great day. We killed 1,000. We killed Palestinians." You never see that. You never see rejoicing. You never see gloating. But what's the response of the Hamas leadership, of the Iranian leadership, of the Hezbollah leadership? They're like, this is a great day. This is a great day for us. This is, a sign of what is to come. Unbelievable. This is unbelievable. That's what I don't understand. They didn't kill military soldiers. They weren't fighting with the IDF. They weren't fighting with the military. There was young people at a dance party, many of whom were dancing for peace, and they slaughtered them in a way you wouldn't even slaughter an animal. And they were celebrating it and filming it. They are ISIS. They are no different. They are Nazis. They are no different. This is an anti-Semitic, demonic spirit. And unfortunately, these people lie. They have no respect for human life. They got no respect for the life of their own people. Listen, think about it. And I'm sorry I'm going off on this tangent, but billions of dollars have been given to Gaza in aid. What good has it done to people? Gaza should be the most beautiful city in the world. They built bombs. They built tunnels. They've done terrorist attacks. Hey, Narrow Way Path, I understand what you're saying. I misunderstood what you said. I agree. Jewish people need to come to know Messiah. I am a follower of Yeshua, the Messiah. Jewish people need Messiah. The Palestinians need Messiah. Honestly, this is the only answer. There is no peace apart from the Prince of Peace. So I just want to bless you all. I just want to thank you all again. We'll get into more of the specifics to dispel some of the untruth that is going on. But, God is not going to allow Israel to be defeated, even in their unbelief. God is with Israel because all Israel will come to know the Messiah. And there are many who do believe in the land. And God is faithful to his promises and to his people. God never reneges on his promise. Even when we're not faithful, God is. Don't live in fear. Don't live in worry. God's got this. The one who is called is faithful. Listen, if you want to support and help Israel and help the Messianic community in Israel, the Jewish followers of Messiah there, listen again, we are doing that. We'd love to have you join with us. Let's bless Israel. Let's show Israel, and especially the Messianic community, because they're often forgotten in times like this, that we stand, that we care, that we love them. Thank you all for joining me. So appreciate it. Thank you for your prayers. Thank you for your commitment to stand. Thank you for being a blessing. And we will share more with you in the days to come. In Yeshua's name, I bless you. May he bless you for the blessing you have been to his people. B'Shem Yeshua. Sim shalom tova bracha chen b'chesed rachamim. Establish peace, mercy, goodness, and kindness on the Arabs and Palestinians in Yeshua's name. Amen.